Wow, the SEC is really throwing us a curveball this time, huh?
Yeah, I'm still trying to wrap my head around this whole Solana ETF thing.
Right. It seems like they were just trying to slam the brakes on anything Solana related.
Yeah, just a few weeks ago, they were practically begging the Chicago Board Options Exchange to withdraw their Solana ETF filings.
And now they're reviewing Grayscale's application. It's like they did a complete 180.
It's definitely a head scratcher. For anyone who's not constantly glued to the crypto news cycle, could you quickly explain what makes an ETF such a big deal?
Yeah, good point. So an ETS, or exchange traded fund, is basically like a basket of assets, in this case Solana, that you can buy and sell on the stock market.
Exactly. Think of it like a mutual fund, but for crypto. And why is it so important? Well, because it could be the key to unlocking easier access to crypto for everyday investors.
Right. It could potentially open the floodgates for a whole wave of new money to flow into the crypto market.
And that could have a ripple effect on the entire crypto ecosystem. But hold on, we also have the CBOE filing for a bunch of XRP ETFs. It feels like everyone's trying to jump on the ETF bandwagon.
It's like the regulatory winds are shifting and everyone's trying to catch the breeze. Is this a sign that the SEC is finally warming up to crypto?
Maybe, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. The SEC is known for being incredibly cautious.
True. And let's not forget those lawsuits against Binance and Coinbase still looming over our heads.
Oh yeah, those are definitely adding fuel to the fire. The SEC is going after them for listing tokens like Solana and Cardano, claiming they are unregistered securities.
Wait, so they're trying to penalize platforms for lifting Solana while potentially approving an ETF for it. Isn't that a bit of a contradiction?
It might seem that way on the surface, but it's actually more complicated than that.
Okay, I'm all ears. Break it down for me.
So, the SEC's case against Binance and Coinbase hinges on how these tokens were initially offered and sold, not necessarily on their current function. An ETF operates under a different set of regulations.
I see. So even if the SEC wins those lawsuits, it doesn't automatically mean game over for Solana and XRP ETFs.
Right. It all comes down to the specifics of how the EPF is structured and whether it meets the SEC's requirements for investor protection and market integrity.
Okay, so it's not a black and white situation. There are a lot of nuances at play here.
Definitely. And to really understand what's going on, we need to dive into the Howey test, which is a legal framework used to determine whether an asset qualifies as a security.
The Howey test. Okay, I'm vaguely familiar with that. Could you give us a quick refresher?
Sure. Essentially, it boils down to whether someone invests money in a common enterprise, expecting profits primarily from the efforts of others.
So it's not just about whether something is called a security. It's about how it functions in the real world.
Exactly. And that's where things get tricky with crypto, because these assets can be used in so many different ways.
It's like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. The traditional definitions of securities don't always neatly apply to the decentralized and ever-evolving world of crypto.
You hit the nail on the head. And that's why the SEC is having such a hard time figuring out how to regulate this space.
Okay, so we've got this complex legal framework, these high-stakes lawsuits, and the SEC trying to walk this tightrope between fostering innovation and protecting investors.
It's a real balancing act. And the outcome of all this could have major implications for the future of crypto.
No kidding. And we've only just scratched the surface. We'll dive deeper into the potential ramifications of all this in part 2 of this episode.
Welcome back. It feels like we just dove headfirst into the deep end of the crypto pool with all this talk about ETFs and regulations.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in. But let's face it, this is what makes the crypto world so fascinating, right? Always keeps us on our toes.
Absolutely. It's a constantly evolving landscape, which is both exciting and a bit daunting. Speaking of daunting, what if these Solana and XRP ETFs actually get the green light? What kind of ripple effects are we looking at?
It's like trying to predict the future, right?
Yeah.
But that's part of the fun.
Okay, so let's put on our prediction hats for a minute. Imagine a world where Solana and XRP ETFs become so popular that they outshine traditional ETFs.
Whoa, that's a bold prediction. Are we talking about a crypto takeover of Wall Street?
Hey, stranger things have happened, right? But even if we don't see a complete crypto revolution, the approval of these ETFs could still have a seismic impact on the financial world.
I'd say so. For starters, it would give the entire crypto industry a massive credibility boost.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It would be like the SEC finally saying, okay, we get it. Crypto is a legitimate asset class.
And you know what that means? Institutional investors, those big players who have been hesitant to dip their toes in the crypto waters, they would finally have a regulated and familiar way to get in on the action.
Right. Hedge funds, pension funds, they could all start pouring money into crypto through these ETFs.
And that influx of institutional money, well, let's just say, it could have a pretty dramatic effect on crypto prices.
It could ignite the next bull market fueled by the ETF gold rush.
So for those who are already holding Solana or XRP, this could be their chance to see some serious gains.
Potentially, yes. But it's important to remember that investing always carries risk, and crypto is no exception.
Right, we don't want anyone getting carried away by the hype.
Exactly. But let's shift gears for a second and talk about the average person, the one who maybe just started hearing about crypto and is curious about dipping their toes in.
And that's where the real power of ETFs comes in, right?
Exactly. ETFs make it super easy and affordable for anyone to invest in crypto, even if they don't have a lot of technical knowledge.
No more messing around with complicated exchanges, digital wallets, or trying to remember your private keys.
Right. It would be as simple as buying a share of Apple or Google, but instead you'd be buying a piece of the crypto pie.
And that ease of access could bring millions of new investors into the crypto space.
Oh, absolutely. It could be a game changer for mass adoption.
Okay, but let's play devil's advocate for a moment.
No.
Wouldn't this massive influx of new investors also make the market more volatile?
That's definitely a possibility, especially in the short term. More people, more money, more potential for those wild price swings that crypto is known for.
So it's like a double-edged sword. The potential for huge gains, but also the potential for some pretty dramatic losses.
That's a great way to put it. It's a roller coaster ride, for sure. But remember, every roller coaster eventually comes to a stop.
And hopefully, we'll all still be on board when it does.
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? No one knows for sure what the future holds for crypto, but that's what makes it so exciting.
And on that note, we'll have to pause our roller coaster ride for a moment. But don't worry, we'll be back with more crypto adventures in part 3 of this episode. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground. ETFs, lawsuits, the Howey test. It's been a whirlwind tour of the crypto regulatory landscape.
It's definitely a lot to digest, but I think the big question on everyone's mind is what happens next?
Right. We've talked about the potential benefits and risks of these ETFs, but it all comes down to the SEC. They hold all the cards.
And they're not known for making quick decisions, especially when it comes to crypto.
So let's play a little game of what if. What if, against all odds, the SEC actually approves both the Solana and XRP ETFs?
That's a fascinating scenario. It would definitely send shockwaves through the crypto world.
It would be a huge win for the entire industry, wouldn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It would signal that the SEC is finally starting to take crypto seriously, that they see its potential and are willing to work with the industry.
It would be like a green light for all those other crypto projects out there that are hoping to launch their own ETFs.
Exactly. We could see a flood of new applications, a real ETF gold rush.
But even with that acceptance, the regulatory landscape is still going to be pretty complex, right?
Oh, for sure. The SEC isn't going to just give everyone a free pass. They're still going to be laser focused on investor protection and market integrity.
So it's not going to be a Wild West scenario.
No, not at all. We're likely to see a wave of new regulations and guidelines as the SEC tries to strike that balance between fostering innovation and protecting investors.
It's like trying to tame a wild beast. You want to harness its power without letting it run amok.
That's a great analogy. And it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out.
So what's your take on the SEC's overall approach to crypto? Are they becoming more crypto-friendly, or are they still skeptical?
It's tough to say. I think they're still trying to figure it all out, just like the rest of us.
It's a learning process for everyone involved.
Definitely. And it's important to remember that the crypto world is still relatively young. There are going to be growing pains, and there will be setbacks along the way.
But that's all part of the journey, right?
Absolutely. And I think it's important to stay focused on the long-term potential of crypto. This technology has the power to revolutionize so many aspects of our lives.
It's not just about making money. It's about creating a more decentralized, transparent, and equitable financial system.
Exactly. And that's something worth fighting for.
Okay, so as we wrap up this episode, what's your advice for our listeners? What should they be doing to navigate this complex and ever-changing world of crypto?
First and foremost, stay informed. Don't just blindly follow the hype or the fear. Do your own research, understand the risks, and make informed decisions.
Solid advice. And remember, we're all in this together. Let's support each other, share knowledge, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible with crypto.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks for having me on the show.
It's been a pleasure. And to all our listeners out there, thanks for tuning in. Stay curious, stay informed, and we'll catch you next time.